welcome to those of you who are watching the replay. I'm gonna give it just a couple minutes. So if you are watching the replay, feel free to skip forward like 3-4 minutes. I'm gonna give it just a little bit for people to funnel in here. And then I need to start adding some links to let people know where we are at. So give me just a second. If you are coming in and joining us, let me know in the chat. Let me know that you're here. If you haven't, I use a program called Restream. If you've never clicked on like a Restream link thing before, feel free to drop your name as well, because I can't actually see the names of people in my program. So yeah, so let me know that you're here. Let me know that you can hear me, that there's no tech issues, all that stuff. This is going to be a deeper Keepa training, a deeper Keeper, where we're going to be diving in, and we're bringing in the one and the only Christopher Grant. I think most of you guys are familiar with our friend. All right, let me post this link here real fast. All right, so that should cover it. Sweet, awesome. We've got some people funneling in. JD, hey, just got my seller's account approved. Awesome, sweet, love to hear it. All right, yeah, it looks like we're loud and clear over on YouTube. Mary is here from Facebook. Awesome. All right, so yeah, like what I was saying before, we're going to be diving into Keepa. If you don't yet have Keepa at all, like if you're a brand new beginner or you're sort of just new-ish to like getting tools and things like that for your Amazon business, we've done polls like in our group. I've seen polls done in many other arbitrage flipping based Amazon groups. It's not just us. And across the board, Keepa always comes out on top as like the #1 most used tool by sellers. There's just so many different use cases for it, and it's so cheap. It used to be free, unfortunately, but it's still so cheap. I mean, it's like $17, I think, a month. There's so much. So if you are a beginner and you don't have Keepa yet, grab it. I put the link down there you should see it like below my face somewhere, and then I put it in the comment section. So grab Keepa. It's real cheap. Check it out. For those of you guys who are already sellers, you guys are more so who this evening is about. So without further ado, I am going to bring in Chris Grant. We're going to be here for a while. We've got some stuff to show you, but feel free to interrupt us, to ask questions, to ask other, like even if it's not about exactly what we're doing, if you have other Keepa questions, you've got the Keepa experts here sort of at your disposal, and we'll be here for a little while. So yeah, without further ado, let's bring in Chris Grant. Hey, what's going on, man?
What's going on? You surviving this winter chill that we're getting here in Florida?
Oh, man, yeah. So Chris and I, we both live in Central Florida, and it got not quite like New York cold. We're not getting like 7 feet of snow, but you know, it's a chilly like 50-ish degrees. It's rough.
I saw my neighbor as I was pulling into the house. I saw my neighbor go out for a walk in pants, of course, and a real winter jacket. And I am not that much of a Floridian yet. So I am a sweatshirt kind of guy now in the 50s, but I can't do the parka quite yet.
Awesome. So Chris actually, he just came out with like a whole Keepa Academy, sort of like what he's done for things like tactical arbitrage, things like that, where there's these great tools and a lot of people use them, but a lot of people underutilize them or don't fully know how to use it. So he came up with a Keepa Academy. So we'll let him sort of talk about that here at the end. But jumping into things, what are, in your opinion, Chris, what are some ways to utilize Keepa that most sellers are not doing? Since most of us here have a tool, what are we not sort of like getting our money's worth? What are we missing here that most people just aren't doing?
You know, there really is so much that I think that we miss, and it's not just on Keepa.com, because a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people spend time over on Keepa.com itself. They install the extension and they look at the history graph, and they look at the sales or the sales price, and maybe they go look at variations. But there's other data in that as well, which can be really, really helpful. You can go and find all of the historical sellers that have ever been on a particular listing, which I like to do. I like to call that the shotgun method of reverse search sourcing. And you can use it to see how much stock a particular seller has had historically. Now, I will have to say that data is not the most accurate because of restocks and lost inventory and, just inaccurate data, but keep us trying. And then outside of that, all of the data that's on Keepa.com itself is massive, in my opinion. I know you and I chatted for just a minute before we came live here, but the other day I've been trying to get more into Twitter. There's a lot of really smart people there, and so I've been reading a little bit more of Flipper Twitter or Amazon Twitter, and similar complaints that we hear on Facebook and things like that. Prices are tanking, and there's more sellers than ever, and so on and so forth. But I wanted to go straight to the source and see if I could find out how many ASINs have actually gone up in price. And so I put in a couple of numbers and found out that if you look at ASINs that are ranked under 500,000 average 30-day, okay, and you want to look at anything that has increased over the past 90 days from anywhere from 10% to 1,000%, without Amazon ever being on the listing, and an average of 3 or more sellers over the past 90 days, there were over 1 million ASINs that have gone up in price.
Interesting.
So it's definitely not a tank fest all around, and there are ways to use Keepa to find products that are similar to what you already like to sell, whether it's a brand or just the way that the price and the sales history acts. And you can go in, you can kind of surgically snip out those particular products and then go hunting for them. And I don't want to say it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but it gets you a heck of a lot closer to that.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Yeah. Would you be able to sort of like show us how you're doing that, like finding these sort of price increases?
Yeah,
And
of course.
as he's pulling that up, guys, again, feel free if you have questions about Keepa or anything like that, drop them in the comment section. We are here for you tonight.
Let me choose the right one here. There we go.
And let's see. There we go.
All right. So what you guys are seeing right now is going to be just Keepa.com. This is kind of their, if you want to call it a sales page. They don't do a really great job at selling their own software. But this lets you know what all the features are. And there are a ton of them. There are deals, and you can find products that could be Amazon to Amazon flips, or like my buddy Nate McAllister did the other day. He used it to find a patio heater at like half price. You can then track those products, but we're gonna spend some time in the data section. In the data section, you have a couple of things. You've got the product finder, the product viewer. We've got bestsellers. We may touch on that for just a moment, since we are kind of right in the heart of Q4, and there's something kind of cool we can mess around with there. But if we want to find ASINs that have gone up in price, we can do that with the product finder. And I'll show you exactly what I do here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look for products that they sell. Okay. Now, I have seen on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, that kind of stuff, a lot of people will say, you know what, just stick to items under 50,000. I am completely against that. I don't believe that's the case, because there's a lot of products outside of that range that do sell really, really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for products that have an average 30-day rank of less than 500,000. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that it's going to be every product is going to be, 450,000 in sales rank, and going to be sort of a medium to slow mover depending on what category you're in. Baby category, 500,000 is pretty much not moving at all. But in the home and kitchen category, it's moving at a steady pace, just not a really quick clip. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, we don't want to see anything with Amazon in stock. So we'll choose Amazon out of stock. And we're going to leave the new third-party FBA price blank, but we're going to come down to the buy box price. And in the buy box price, we're going to leave the actual prices blank. But what we want to look for is we want to look for products that have actually increased in price. And for whatever reason, whether it's inflation, whether it's just because the item has gotten more popular, and if the demand has spiked but the supply has stayed the same or gone down, we know that there's going to be a power law that comes into play here, and the price is going to go up. So what we want to do is we want to put the smallest number first, and in this case, that's going to be negative 1,000. All right, that's going to be an increase of 1,000%. And I know that's sometimes that's a little difficult to wrap our noggin around. It was for me. It took me a little while. But that's going to be an increase. So negative is up and positive is down, which is unusual. And then we want the larger number to be on the back end of this. Okay, so if I want to see anything that's gone from 10% to 1,000%, well, negative 10 is going to be my smaller number. All right, I don't do public math, but for those of you who are familiar with math, you understand why that's a larger number than negative 1,000. And then the next thing we're going to do is nobody really likes to compete with Amazon. It's not necessarily not a bad thing, but it's not your first inclination. Okay, so we're going to go down and we're going to find all of the products that have not had Amazon on the listing over the past 90 days. And we can come down. We're going to uncheck digital products because we don't do digital products on Amazon. And let's find it here. Here we go. So Amazon, 90-day out of stock percentage. We want it to be 100% to infinity. All right. So what this is going to do is it's only going to show us the products where Amazon is out of stock 100% of the time over the past 90 days, where the price has increased from 10% to 1,000%. And the average 30-day sales rank is under 500,000. Okay, we could get more surgical and more precise and choose a particular category or things like that. But just for argument's sake here, we'll do this, and we can see that there are 1,278,347 products where all of those criteria fit. The price is increased. Amazon's out of stock 100% of the time. And the average sales rank is under 500,000 over the past 30 days. Now, if we now click Find Products, what we can do here is we can actually see all of these, okay? And it's going right now, I have this in sales rank order. So the lowest sales rank or the fastest selling products should be at the top. And then slower moving products will start going down, higher ranked products will start going down the page here. All right. You can see is this Apple Barrel Crisp Green Paint. Well, it's gone up a little bit. If you look at that Keepa graph in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that over the past 90 days, it's gone from $5 to maybe $6 or $6.50 to $7 or $7.50, and it's just gone up very slowly here. Okay. Same with this product. And then we've got Hey Dude shoes, which are very popular with Florida men and women. But you can see this product has recently spiked in price. Okay. This one looks like a private label product. That could be private label. And we've got another Hey Dude product here. We can see the prices recently spiked. But if you spend enough time going through all of these types of products, you're going to be able to find products that have gone up in price. Now, this is not my favorite method to use Keepa. This is just a method to show you that we can gather all kinds of data points depending on what is interesting to us. And this just happened to be something that I kind of wanted to fight back a myth with a little bit of actual data. Shall we talk about how to use excuse me, how to use price corridors and things like that?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. So I'll tell you what, here's my pen. All right, let me ask you a couple of questions, and then we'll do this based on your data. Okay. So, Nate, what's your favorite category to sell in?
I would probably say favorite would be grocery.
Grocery category. Perfect. All right. Is there a particular price point that you like to sell at? Are you selling mostly small and light? Do you prefer maybe people who are buying some things like champagne and caviar kind of budget, or what are you into?
Kind of in the middle, probably 25-ish is sort of
Okay.
our sweet spot.
All right, we'll say 25. And is there a range of sales rank that you typically like to look at?
Usually if it's too low, there's usually either like it's Amazon bottoming out the price or it's a private label, something like that. So I'll usually look for between like about 5,000 is usually my starting point.
Okay.
And then my upper range is usually like 150,000, somewhere in there. And I will venture outside of that range, but
sure,
just to give us a playing field.
Okay, perfect. So let's do this. Let's go back to our product finder. And let me ask you this one more question. Do you compete with Amazon?
All day, every day, yeah.
All day, every day. Okay, perfect. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say that Nate's range is pretty large, 5,000 to 150,000. So I'm going to go a little bit in the middle, and I'm going to say that I like to sell things in the grocery category, let's say from 50,000 to, we'll go 90,000. Okay, that should give us plenty of product. So now what we're doing right now is we're going to pull up everything that's between 50 and 90,000 in rank currently. Okay. But then what I want to do is I want to create a corridor. And now the reason that I want to create a corridor is I want products that are moving, okay? But I don't want products that are spiking all over the place. I don't want something that gets too popular, because then everyone's like, "Oh, this went from 50,000 in rank to 5. Well, we're now going to have 700 sellers on it." A good example of that would be the one chip challenge. Every single year, it goes from maybe 20 sellers when it first gets on there. It goes up to, 500 in rank, and then there's 400 sellers on it. Okay. So in the 30-day average, I'm going to create a little bit of a cushion. I'm going to say 45,000 to 95,000. And then in the 90-day average, I'm going to go 40,000 to 100,000. And I'll leave the 180-day average blank. I usually don't use that. Okay. But then the other thing I'm going to do is in this 90-day drop section, what this will do is if I were to put in here from 10 to 20%, this would show me products where the rank has gotten worse. Okay. So the rank has gone up. All right. If you're looking at a Keepa graph, by 10 to 20%. Well, what I actually want to do is I want either the rank to get, let's say, 20% better. Okay, so negative 20, or I'm okay with a 10% drop. I want it to be nice and steady. All right, very unsexy products. That gives us 1.3 million products here. All right, but now we're also going to say, you know what? I really want products where the price doesn't change very often. And we really want to look at the buy box. The buy box is the important thing. There's third-party FBA and all kinds of other prices that you can pull from here, but we're really interested in who is getting the actual sales and where that averages out. So we're going to say that we want to look for products that are between $25 and $35 currently. But then we also want these products to be fairly static in price. So I'm going to say 20 to 40 for the 30-day average, and 15 to 45 for the 90-day average. And then in this 90-day drop here, I just want these things to be flat and really boring. So negative 20% for a 20% increase in price, because we like prices to go up. We like to be able to charge more. And I don't want the price to go down by any more than, let's say, 10%. We know that prices are going to fall. It's not a static marketplace. It's dynamic. Things are changing all the time. So we do need to leave some wiggle room, but we are trying to be surgical and not just pull back everything. All right.
And I don't know if you guys saw this, but if you're watching in that lower right-hand corner, you see where it says like your current filter matches, like how many products are in there. If you erase that negative 20 to 10%, there's like 100,000 products.
Yep.
So just focusing that like eliminated half the things just by saying like we want things that are sort of stable.
Exactly. All right. So now we've got 45,000 products. Now, this is across the entire catalog that Keepa tracks. Okay. And we have to remember that one thing that we have pulled out here is we don't have any products that don't show a sales rank that are actually selling. So that's something you have to come back and do a little bit later, which we could talk about if we've got time here. All right. And then the final thing we're going to do is we want to choose a particular category. And Nate said grocery is his favorite category. So we'll go down to grocery and gourmet food. And we now have 801 products that we can look at here. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, well, that doesn't seem like very many. But if you're sitting down for a sourcing session and you're doing manual sourcing, chances are that's several days worth of work. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to find these products, and it's going to pull this up in the product viewer so that we can look at everything. And look at that. Right there at the top is a product that everybody could use to get ungated with, Frontier Co-op, a brand that everybody knows and loves. But if we look at this particular product here, we can see Amazon's on it. We can see that the price has come down, but the price is somewhat stable, other than where Amazon has decided to get erratic and knock it down to about $21 or so. But a price swing of 21 to 27 is a lot smaller than what you might see if you had not used these particular filters. And if we keep going here, we see this one kind of does the same thing. Here's one that's kind of more up my alley. This is a Brock's Candy Corn and Autumn Party Mix Duo. And what's interesting about this is a lot of people would say, oh, okay, well, this is an obvious Halloween candy. But look at this. After Halloween is over, the price on this has stabilized, and the sales rank is actually fairly consistent with what it was before Halloween. So if I could go and I could say, oh, well, I know that Walmart has this on clearance, or I can go and I could find this at a Sam's Club or a Costco or a BJ's. Well, these are nice, easy products to be able to go find because they're not attractive. There's probably not a ton of sellers on this particular listing. Let's go take a look.
Well, and I've been Googling this stuff on the side. So like that Brax, it's a 2.5 pound bag. Those go for about $6. So $6 times 2 is a 2-pack, $12 buy cost. And it looked like it was selling for like 30. I mean, even without any calculators, yep. I know that there should be some profit margin there. $12 to $30. There should be some profit.
Yeah, not a complete home run, but it's an easy double or a single, which is what our businesses are made off of.
Yep.
And then right down here, we've got another product. This would be a super easy find. This is a Trader Joe's. I'm going to totally mess that up. Ube mochi pancake and waffle mix. We know where to go get it right in the title. And I know a lot of people will complain that everything from Trader Joe's tanks, but this is obviously going, it went up and now it's coming back down just a little bit. So I'm going to imagine that the number of sellers has maybe increased from what it was in October. But this is a much more attractive price graph for me because it's not just that consistent downward slope that a lot of folks get irritated with.
Love it. Yeah, I think that the ube is $4 a piece.
$4 a
Yeah.
piece. All right.
Yeah, I mean, a
So
lot of these, we're literally finding you guys replens on a live video.
yeah.
Because that should
And
be roughly $8 to $10 if I'm doing my research correctly.
yeah,
And then
right
again,
now it's going for about 32. That's easy money.
easy money. Selling all the time, plenty of sales. Yep,
Yeah.
love it.
So these are the kind of products that I like to build a portfolio around. I'm not someone who looks for stuff that's under 50,000 in rank all the time, or I don't really hunt bolos anymore. It's just building a portfolio of products that are boring and does this every single day, and that people are going to buy and have a history of buying. And then the cool thing is we've done this in grocery, but we can do this in every single category. Uh, Tools and home improvement is actually one of my favorite categories to mess around in. You can get a lot of small and light things. Think uh, electrical outlet covers, light switch covers.
And the small and
There's
light stuff is changing come January.
it's going up to $12. So there's going to
Yep,
be there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of money on the table for those kind of
for
things,
sure.
in my opinion. So, trying to think what else we could take a look at here. One thing I should mention is we pulled back 801 ASINs here, and that's great. This could easily give you 3, 4, maybe even a week worth of sourcing if you go out and manually source every single one of these. But every now and again, you're going to pull up a number of ASINs. You're going to have 20 or 30 or 40,000 because you just did not get quite granular enough. And so what you can do is you can actually use the filters right on the page as well. So for example, if we go to the current rank here, it is sortable. So if we click the little arrow, okay, we can see that, well, now we can see 35,000, 89, 89. They don't always get it 100% right here for some reason, but we can see that it starts going from the higher ranks to the lower ranks. But then we can also click on this little hamburger menu, and we can actually use our filters in here as well. So you'll see 50,000 to 90,000 is here. We could go out and we could start looking at a bunch of these other filters as well. Please don't use the sales rank drops filters because sales rank drops do not equal sales. But you could go and sort by number of sellers. You could filter by number of sellers. There's all kinds of things that you can do here. And then one other thing that I would recommend is that when you pull up a set of ASINs that you like and you find interesting, you can actually hit the little star button right here, and you can save this. We know that things change all the time. Okay, so if I put in here grocery, we'll say 50 to 90K. And we'll say, I don't know, I think this was $25 and up. All right. I would be much more specific here. But if we change this and I put it on my bookmarks bar and hit done, well, now what I have is I can go away from here, I can open up another tab. I click on that, and now it pulls this back up for me. I don't have to go in and put in all the filters. And we know that because Amazon is a dynamic marketplace, this kind of information will change on a regular basis.
Man, that gave me a fantastic idea that we're going to be integrating into our business pretty much immediately. So for those of you guys who are manually sourcing, this is great. Have a folder so you can go back to stuff yourself. If you're doing the manual sourcing yourself, is what I mean. For those of you guys who are sort of doing this at scale and you might have virtual assistants, we like to have at least one person always manually sourcing for us. Like we use tactical arbitrage, we use all these other tools. But we always like to have one virtual assistant who's just hands-on manually typing stuff in. So with something like that, where like you could book, I hadn't even thought of like bookmarking the search criteria. That's genius. We can just send them the bookmark folder. Like we can share those bookmarks with them. So instead of telling them like, okay, here's my criteria, I want you to look for this type of thing or that type of thing, I'll just give them sort of the target, which I think is usually the most effective way to sort of guide a VA. Give them a target, and then let them go crazy. So you give them this list of 800 things. You say, all right, this week, I just want you to find these things and look for this stuff. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm going to be using that in my business.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Absolutely one of my favorites. Now let me go delete this before I forget. And all right. Let's see here. I was trying to think of another one that we can talk about here. Oh, since it is Q4, here is another thing that we can chat about for a little bit. Product bestsellers. Everyone, of course, wants to sell the best products, the fastest moving products, etc. And you should also take a cue from history. We should take a cue from what sold well in previous years. And often what people will say is they'll say, oh, well, go through your products that you sold last year and look for the ones that sold really well again, because often they'll be perennial sellers. But what if we could let Keepa tell us what are perennial bestsellers? Well, Keepa added that ability. So let's go to toys and games. And in the product bestsellers, we can pull up the top 5,000 bestsellers in any particular category. We can also, and I've only got 100 right now just for speed purposes. We can also pull up the items that are the top 100 bestsellers or the top 5,000 bestsellers based on their 30-day averages. Okay. But what's even cooler is we can go into the historical and we can start looking at what has sold, what's been the bestseller by month. All right. So we can go to December of 2021 and we can look at the toys and games category and we can pull out the top 5,000 best-selling ASINs from December of last year. Now, some of these are, of course, not going to be around anymore. Maybe it was a private label product, or maybe it's something that's just gone, out of vogue. But there are going to be products in the top 100, the top 5,000. I don't know why it's taking so long to load here, but there are going to be products here that are perennial bestsellers. And so what we can do is we can spend some time going through here. For example, exploding kittens is not something I would suggest that you sell, but this is a perennial bestseller at Christmas time. It's a very popular game, okay? And you can see that they've got exploding minions as well, okay? But you can go through here and you can find out what those products are that are doing really, really well. And you can then go out and try to source those for this year, okay? This is also filterable. Okay, so if we come over and let's just say that you're a person who doesn't like to compete against Amazon, you can say, well, I don't want to see Amazon in here at all. And bear with me a second here. There's a lot of data that we can pull by. So I forget where the column is for Amazon.
And by the way, guys, if you have questions about anything we're doing or anything related to Keepa, again, just a reminder, you are welcome and free to ask any and all questions you want. We are here to help you guys tonight.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I forget where I put the Amazon in stock. I know it's here. Yeah. But one of the other cool things that you can do is if you actually scroll over to the category tree, we can then choose subcategories. So toys and games, it's a big category. And inside of the toys and games category, there are going to be subcategories and even subcategories. And there are things that sell really well in those particular categories. So one of the other things I like to do sometimes is I'll see a product and I'll say, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I can't find it profitably, but what's the subcategory? Well, it's novelty and gag toys. All right. So now what I can do is rather than just looking at the toys and games top 5,000, I can actually look at the novelty toys and amusements. Okay. Whoopee cushions and yo-yos and things like that are probably going to be in here. And if we look at the historical, we can also pull these up for last year or any month that you might be interested in. Maybe you want to look at what grocery items are popular in November because we've got a big holiday coming up in the US later this week. And what kind of things might you be able to merchant fulfill here at the last minute? this would be a place that I would go and look and see if those items are selling again this year. All right. Any questions on? I know that one is a little.
Yeah, someone was just asking how you can tell if something is seasonal using Keepa.
Great question. What you're going to see typically is you're going to see a product that starts selling really, really well when it comes in season. So the Keepa graph is going to kind of dip down really close to 1, and then it's kind of like it creates a hill. Okay, so once the season is over, it starts to go back up. Trying to think here. I don't know any right off the top of my head, but think about pumpkin spice. It is pumpkin spice season. It's peppermint mocha season. But once this particular season is over, those products are still popular, but they're not anywhere near as popular as they are, during sweater weather.
Awesome. Love it. A couple people are asking if this is recorded. Yep, this will be recorded. You'll be able to find this on our Facebook group. So facebook.com/groups/hustlebuddies, and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/hustlebuddiesofficial is the YouTube channel. Chris dropping gems. Yep, I love it. Someone earlier was asking about variations. Now, this is sort of unrelated to what we're doing here. They were asking, how do you know which variation is selling? Now, before Chris jumps in here, I'm going to address the second half of their question, which was saying that they currently are using helium-10 for this. Helium-10 is the right tool for the wrong job. There is absolutely no reason, in my opinion, why any arbitrage seller should ever be using helium-10 for anything. It's a tool for private label sellers, and it's good for private label sellers. It's terrible for anybody else, in my opinion. So get rid of helium-10. Don't bother looking at that. There's an easy way to tell on Keepa that Chris is going to show you here.
Absolutely. So this is the example that I typically use to talk about variations. This is a very popular shoe. I don't think that either Nate or I are quite old enough to wear these, but I'm getting real. Okay.
I don't know. I've got 4 kids, so I think it sort of bumps me up a tier.
That is true. I think if you either have 4 kids or you hit 40, you get a complimentary pair of these shoes, or New Balance, whatever you prefer. But what we can do is right in Keepa, we can look at the variations tab. And I think it was in June, Keepa made some updates to the variations tab, which actually makes this part of the tool even more powerful. Okay. So in the variations tab, what we can see here is we can see that there are, I got to scroll down here to the bottom. Where's it at? Well, there are over 100 variations on the 120. There's 120 variations on this particular listing. And we can see here that this one, size 11 in the white metallic silver, based on the number of ratings, is the winner. And you get a little gold cup here by it. And we can see that based on the total number of ratings, this shoe gets 5% of those ratings. Okay. And then you can double check that with the number of reviews. The reviews are always going to be lower because there's more friction to leaving an actual written review than there is just putting in 3 or 4 or 5 stars on a particular product. Okay. But we can see that this particular graph for the number of ratings, it does what we want it to do. It goes up and to the right. Okay. And that's what we want to see in a variation. This lets us know that it's selling on a regular basis because people are leaving ratings for the shoe. And we get this graph for every single different variation. The reason why I find this to be powerful is if we scroll down here, this is a really popular shoe. So you could almost buy like any color size and they're probably going to sell. But what we can see here is this particular colorway, which is white, black with looks like a little bit of red in there, in size 6.5. I don't know many guys who wear size 6.5. Okay. So this is not a super popular color or size. All right. And we know that by the number of ratings. It was 9 and then 10, dropped back down to 9, and now it's up to 11. So this particular variation, it does sell, but it sells much slower. Okay. However, something that's interesting to me is this one here, the white in 11 and a half. We can see that there's a recent uptick in the number of ratings. And so, even though this shows less than 1% of the ratings for this particular size and color, for some reason, this one seems to be getting more popular. And so, if it were me, typically this would be a variation I would not sell. But based on this data, if I could make a good amount of money on it and the margin was wide enough, I might risk one or two, if I don't have a ton of money that I need to invest in this. Okay. But that's the way that you look for variations. And I guess one other tip I could give you on variations is you don't always have to be, especially for popular products, you don't always have to be in the top 1 or 2 or even 5. You can look down at, the 7th or 8th or 9th most popular, because this particular product is selling thousands of units per month. And so 3% of 2 or 3,000 pairs of shoes a month is still a pretty significant volume.
Yeah. And you can also, like if you want to dive even further into it, you can also sort of compare how many sellers are trying to sell each variation. Because if there's 100 sellers trying to sell the top one versus one seller trying to sell that red, white, and black size 6.5 one, like, yeah, jump on the one with only one other seller, because it's just you and one other person that are competing rather than you and 100 people that are competing.
There we go. Now,
Yeah.
instead of going after 70 sellers, which was on the most popular variation, we can be on this black on black in size 10, which is at $74.99 for the buy box, which is higher than the most popular color. We can see that the number of reviews is going up and to the right, not at nearly as fast of a pace as the number one bestseller, but we've only got 27 competitors on this particular listing, where it was like 74 on the most popular variation.
Yep, I love it. And Chris is able to do that all from the same screen. So like if you're sourcing online, you see this shoe, keep these little things in mind. Like you can change your filter sort of on the fly. Like we were looking at the shoe and we're looking at the variations, comparing the ratings and reviews, but then just on the fly, he just scrolled over and boom, now we switched it. So we're excluding anything that has a ton of sellers on it. We just want to see if there's a manageable amount.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
One thing I really like to do with shoes, I don't sell very many, but if I'm going to, I go and I will Google the most common sizes for men, for women, for kids, and I will focus on those common sizes rather than looking at, the 6.5 or the 18 extra wide. I'll just completely get those out of there, so I don't even have to think about them.
And I will honestly, I'll sometimes do that, but I will sometimes do the opposite. It sort of depends on my mood.
Right?
Because like the guys who wear a 6.5, where the heck are you gonna go to find a 6.5? Or like if you wear a size like 19, where the heck do you go to find a size 19? Well, you go online. And so like,
Yeah, you have to go to Amazon. That's the Amazon and Ross are the only places that carry, Shaq size shoes.
Yeah, so there's less demand, but also less competition. So it sometimes can even out. Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let me see if there's any other questions. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comment section below. Some people were asking for a link to Chris's Keepa Academy. Chris just came out with this brand new Keepa Academy. I mean, we're taking you guys deep now. The Keepa Academy, guys, it's like bonkers deep. Like every time I open it up and go through a new part of it, it's like, holy smokes, I didn't know I could do that with Keepa. And every one of those little nuggets that I'm learning, like every single one is finding me at least one replen.
Oh,
and so if you think about it, it's like, okay, so if let's say a base hit, we'll just use some normal numbers. I'm not even talking about home runs. Let's say a base hit is like, all right, I could sell this unit 10 times a month and it makes me $5 each time. All right, so that's $50 a month, right? If I'm doing my public math correctly. So I only have to do that a couple months before I've made up the cost of any sort of education or class that I've ever taken. And if I'm finding like one of those for each nugget, and then I'm finding multiple items for some. I mean, it's like it pays for itself so fast if you actually utilize the information. Yeah, if you take it and then you sit back and you're like, okay, that was great, and then you forget everything and you don't actually take any action. Okay, yeah, that was worthless waste of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're actually gonna like go in and try the stuff and try to utilize some new things and sort of stretch yourself and push yourself, this is an awesome class that'll teach you a lot of really cool tricks with Keepa that very few people are doing. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah. It was a ton of fun to make. I've got a list of like 5 or 6 videos that we need to add because I hate to say this, but you and I have been around for a while, okay, on Amazon, and you tend to forget things that but it just kind of goes to the back burner, and you don't use it too often. So the other day I sat down and I was like, oh, I remember this and I remember that. So there's gonna even be a couple more videos, the tips and tricks kind of things that we're gonna throw in there to make this even better. And then as I learn more things, because every now and again I will I like to, I don't know, I like to just sit and think about Keepa, that is a really nerdy thing to say, isn't it? Holy cow, that's so nerdy. But every now and again, I'm like, oh well, let's try this, and if it works, then we'll try to add that as well, and always trying to figure out new ways to kind of have an angle.
And finding those cool angles, finding those new tricks, those new little things, like that's what that's sort of how successful sellers continue to be successful sellers. Like when you're always sort of finding a new way, not necessarily like new to the world, but new to you, and you're always sort of pushing yourself and growing and learning and trying these things, you're always filling that pipeline with more replens. If I only sourced in one way, like let's say, for example, I only use tactical arbitrage, and I never did anything manually. I never looked at Keepa. I was like, oh, tactical arbitrage does everything I want, so I'm not going to bother doing anything else. Well, I'm going to be competing with all the people who just use tactical arbitrage, and that's fine. I'll find stuff, but then if I can think outside the box, if I can try something new, if I can do something that not many people are doing, or something where there's a little bit more barrier to entry or thought process required, just eliminating like 80%, 90% of my competition I'm going to find so much more stuff. So I love little things like that. I love finding these new ways to find a new replen. I mean, a replen is a replen is a replen. That doesn't really matter how I found it. But if things like this can constantly be filling my pipeline and make it easier for me or faster for me or my virtual assistants to find stuff with newer, better stuff that maybe tanks less often, I am all about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think using this kind of method, and I love tactical arbitrage. I mean, I created the Tactical Arbitrage Academy, so I love tactical arbitrage. But Keepa is king, and if you just go through, if you've been selling for a while, 2-3 years, you just go through old leads and you have a couple of these types of filters on Keepa set up. I don't see a reason why you can't consistently hit your spend goals on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it should. I talk to a lot of people like on my coaching calls, sort of like, what are your bottlenecks? Like, why did you 5,000 instead of 7,000? Things like that. And if your bottleneck is not early on, I should say, if your bottleneck is not your spending budget, then you have some more learning to do, because that should, for the most part, be everyone's early bottleneck. When you're just sort of starting out, it should be way easier for you to find more products than you can buy than it is like, I'm having trouble finding products, period. If finding products, period, is your problem, then there's another issue. Or if you're doing like a lot of bad buys, there's some other issues. And Keepa can help with both of those things.
Absolutely.
All right, let me see. This person, I didn't know you were live. Yep, we're live. I think I'm alive. Let's see. Someone was asking how to expand their Keepa screen. Theirs only shows 3 items. I'm not quite sure what that's in reference to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what. If you take a screenshot and you DM me on Facebook, I will get you an answer, but it won't be until tomorrow. I'm gonna go hang out with the family here.
Awesome. Let's see. Okay, so Jacqueline, if we request approval for a product and we get it instantly, does that mean we're allowed to sell that product? Sort of. That's not really Keepa related. Sort of. I would recommend just double checking on your computer. Wait maybe a couple hours. Make sure everything processed through. And then different people define allowed to sell differently. The way I define it, yes, if you're approved on Amazon to sell it, then you are approved on Amazon to sell it. And we'll leave it at that because that's a different rabbit trail. Let's see. Person on Facebook, do you feel that finding groups of items in Keepa and exporting them to tactical arbitrage is the best method, or just searching manually right off of Keepa? Chris, what do you think?
So I like to use a different method for taking products into tactical arbitrage myself, which I show how to do it. I call it the shotgun method of, excuse me, I call it the shotgun method of reverse search sourcing. And what it is rather than picking 2 or 3 storefronts, I'll pick 500 storefronts. And I'll gather all the ASINs from those storefronts, and then I'll run those through tactical arbitrage, because tactical arbitrage, it's a powerful tool, but it's better to process large data sets. So if we're just going to pull up 500 or 800 ASINs, I would probably source those manually. If I were pulling up 25 or 50,000 ASINs from 500 different storefronts, I would run those through tactical arbitrage and let that take the first pass. And then there's some things you can do with the search logs and stuff like that, so that you can make sure to hit all the stuff that tactical arbitrage may have had to skip over or missed for one reason or another.
Yep. Awesome. Let me see. Someone was asking, let's see, is Keepa only for individuals who are ungated or people who are gated in lots of things? It's for everybody. It has nothing to do with being gated or ungated. It's just the data. Like, it's seeing. So I would say at a basic level, what I would actually recommend, Jacqueline, or as the Key and Peel, Jaqueline. What I would recommend is go back to, I think it's Monday or Tuesday. I did a live video specifically for beginners. And it's sort of like, if you're brand new, like, this is Keepa 101, this is the basic stuff you need to learn. The stuff that me and Chris are talking about today, it's a little bit more advanced. A lot of it's probably flying over your head if you don't have the tool at all. So go back to like Monday, Tuesday, and watch it. It's free on YouTube. Check that out. If you want to sign up for Chris's Keepa Academy, he'll take you from that beginner and then sort of hold your hand all the way to making you an expert in it. But yeah, it's for everybody. I think what I tell people is you're probably utilizing about 80% of what you will be utilizing it for if you are looking at historical sales rank and historical pricing. That's about 80% of what most people use Keepa for, and that's fairly basic. And you can see that right off the bat. And that has nothing to do with if you're gated or ungated or whatever. It's just, is this product selling, and is this product historically profitable? The whole, is it gated? That's a whole different issue. You'll have to apply for things. But yeah. Someone else asked about IP complaints or how to check for that. I think we sent you a link to get IP alert. So you can use IP alert to check for IP claims. Again, nothing to do with Keepa. Keepa won't help you on that regard. Yet. I don't know, maybe they will in the future.
So they don't have IP alerts, not like, we do with IP alert.
Okay, yeah, I see where you go.
Yeah, so what you can do with Keepa is you can make some guesses. And if you look at a product and you see that the number of sellers was at 30, and then all of a sudden it's down to 1 or 2, and I mean like sudden, like a straight drop, that is very likely an IP complaint. And if you see that over and over and over again, that's someone like Sharper Image, for example. They police their products very, very carefully, and you're going to see those straight line drops for people who are not using IP alert.
Yep. We've got a fantastic question from YouTube. Chris, if drops are not sales, what are they useful for? Chris always says the drops are not sales. He harks that back a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for that alley-oop. So what is a sales rank drop? So when you look at Keepa and it talks about sales rank drops, you will see that is actually the average. And here's what we'll do. We'll actually open this up on Amazon, because this gives us the best information on it here. So If you come down here, you're going to see 11 drops per month on this particular product here. Okay. And if you look at this, if you hover over that there, you can see that the average number of times a relevant sales rank drop is measured or occurred per month based on the last 90 days. Now, number one, sales still happen when the rank goes up. That seems weird, okay? But sales rank is just the measurement of how popular a product is in comparison to other products in that category. So the number one selling product in toys and games can move to number two in toys and games, and it may have lost velocity, or another product starts selling even faster. But the sales rank, it might drop back down to one. It doesn't mean it's one sale. It could be 5,000 sales that gets it from 2 to 1. We don't know. Okay. And then it's also relevant sales rank drop. So, for example, Keepa tells you from 1,000 to 500. That's a relevant sales rank drop. Okay. And they even go on to say that sales rank drops usually indicate sales, but it could correspond to any number of units sold. Okay. So sales rank drops are just a measurement of how often, on average, the sales rank goes down in a particular month. It has zero to do with how many units a product actually sells.
So then the follow-up alley-oop. So how do you know how much something is selling then?
You have to sell it. I mean, we can look at the velocity and figure out, like this particular product here that we're looking at on the screen. This is not something that sells really, really quickly, but we can tell that there is some sales velocity here. I don't even guess anymore. Okay. What I do is I say, all right, I can see that there's movement here, and I can see that it seems like Amazon and their customers like this 28 to 29.99 price point. So for this particular product, I'm going to buy 5 or 6. I'm going to send them in as a test. Maybe they take a month to sell with 2 other competitors. Maybe they take a week. If they take a week, I know that now, okay, my second buy needs to be deeper than 5 because that was just not enough. Okay. And then over time, you kind of build a gut instinct of, all right, this is something I can buy 10 of. This is something that I need to go get a second mortgage on because it's just that good of a deal and it sells that fast.
Yep. I think I take a slightly less dogmatic approach than Chris. I think sales rank can sort of give you some indication on like if something is moving, but it's more so like instead of thinking it as individual sales, it's just if it's moving, it's selling. It's that sort of thing. If it's moving a lot, it's selling a lot. If it's moving hardly at all, it's selling hardly at all.
We could even get a little more scientific if we want to. Okay. And let's say here that we look at the number of reviews on a particular product. All right. Now, I don't do public math, but I'm going to go ahead and break that for tonight. We can see that over months here, this has gone from 26 reviews to 29 reviews. So it's gotten 3 reviews in the past 3 months. Well, we know about how often we get reviews as sellers, right? I know that mine is like 0.5%. I don't know what yours might be. All right. But let's say that product reviews happen a little bit more frequently. Okay. If product reviews happen at a 1% rate, so 1 out of every 100 purchases, a buyer leaves a review, then we could go in and say, all right, well, this has 3 reviews over the past 3 months. We're going to divide this by 0.01, and we get 300 sales over the past 3 months. You divide that by 3, you get 100 sales per month. Is this doing that many per month? I can't say for sure, but based on the number of reviews, you could estimate that maybe it's getting 100 sales per month. And you could be a little bit more conservative and say maybe 5 out of 100, and then you're going to get a smaller number. and so on. I actually break that math all down inside of Keepa Academy.
I like it. Yeah, I feel like, Chris, I feel like we should almost start a petition and then send it to Keepa to get rid of that number of drops metric.
Yeah,
because it's so misleading and so many people look at that. Like, I mean, there's, for a while we were getting daily questions about it. Now it's probably weekly questions in Hustle Buddies about it. But just like people who look at they're not even like using their eyes to watch the movement. They're just reading like what Keepa says, the number of drops, 27. Okay, this sold 27 times. Like, no, that's not at all what that means. Yeah. All right. We'll do a few more questions, and then I want to respect Chris's time so he can go hang out with his family. Let's see. There's the alley-oop. This person said they were looking for equate items as a sample, but everything they were buying from Walmart, they would lose money. Yeah, not everything that you sell makes money. If everything you could possibly find made money, then everybody would be doing this.
Yeah, I would not be live here with you guys because it would just be too profitable to sort. I mean,
yeah. So yeah, you got to look for what's profitable. So look for what's selling. I tell people it's super simple. You just break down into two rules. Is it selling? And then is it profitable? If something is selling really well but it's not profitable, then pass, move on, go to the next item. If something is super profitable but it's never selling, pass, move on. It's got to fill both of those things. Don't get excited about anything if it's only fulfilling one of those two sides.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What number of drops, example, more than 15 Keepa, is a good indicator that a product is selling well. So hopefully you were listening to some of what we were saying, but go ahead.
So I did a video on YouTube not too long ago, all about sales rank drops. Okay. It is a metric that you should just totally ignore. And I'll tell you why. The examples that I used for this particular video that I did was a shoe that was ranked number 3. Okay. So it's literally selling like 10,000 units a month. It's selling the lights out. Well, it had an average of 9 sales rank drops per month. And then I pulled up another shoe, but it was in the sports and outdoors category instead of clothing, shoes, and jewelry. And it was ranked around 350,000. It also had fewer variations. It had like 5 variations instead of like 250 variations. And that product also had 9 average sales rank drops per month. Okay. So it's a useless metric, in my opinion.
Agreed. Yep. Yeah. Don't bother looking at that. I wish they would get rid of that that section of their website because it causes so many more issues than it helps. I don't really know under what situation or circumstance would you ever look at that and get information that you needed. I can't think of any situation where that would be useful. Even like as a consumer, like not a flipper. If there's like a consumer using this, even then, I have no idea why that is included.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just needed another average that they wanted to put out there. I don't know.
Someone was asking about finding merchant fulfilled items. So without going too deep into this, since we're going fast, I mean, you can just change those metrics. So when we were in that like view, find a product, view product, whatever that little keep a search thing is, instead of having like FBA sales, you can filter it by FBM sales if you're specifically looking for things that people are merchant fulfilling. Or you can even, I don't want to give away too many of the secrets. I mean, you can filter stuff by like weight. So if there's certain things where it's like, I want this to be small and light, I only want to look for small and light items. Look for stuff that's under 3 pounds or 1 pound or whatever it is that you're trying to sell. Or it's like, I only want to ship stuff first class. Okay, look, set your filter so it's under 1 pound. You can do all of that stuff in Keepa. It's crazy what the filters can help you find.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Heck, we could find products that only have suppressed buy boxes. I'm a fan of suppressed buy boxes personally. I don't shy away from them ever. And if you're merchant fulfilling, it's usually pretty easy to be able to, be the cheapest on there to get that first sale if you want to. There's all kinds of ways to find stuff. You could find stuff without any FBA sellers at all if you wanted to.
I like to look for stuff that has no sales rank. That's one of my favorite ways to find replens. I specifically filter out if it has any sales rank at all, filter it out. I want stuff that's completely suppressed with no sales rank.
Absolutely. I would do that all day long.
Yep. All right, we got another good question. So when you're looking at how many of an item sold in the last 30 days, what does the question mark mean? Why doesn't Keepa know how many sold?
The reason that Keepa doesn't know how many are sold is because that's a number that Amazon doesn't release. And you can go to FBA Toolkit, Tactical Arbitrage, Jungle Scout, Helium 10, Viral Launch, all these softwares that say, hey, we're going to give you an estimated number of sales. Well, you have to remember, the key word there is estimated. What they've done is they've tracked particular products that they have access to. Maybe, like, for example, Jungle Scout actually sells their own private label products. The founder of Jungle Scout started off with marshmallow sticks, if I recall correctly, bamboo marshmallow sticks. And so what they were able to do is they were able to say, okay, we're selling 50 of these per day, and here is our sales rank every single hour, every single day. We can plot this on a graph, and then we can extrapolate that data into an algorithm to figure out, okay, this is about how many units we think sell at this particular sales rank. Okay. The problem with those softwares, all of them, okay, I'm not just calling out Jungle Scout, every single one. Sales rank is a dynamic. It's not a static number. It changes. It's updated every single hour in most cases by Amazon, because every single hour new data is fed into Amazon's back end, and they know how many sell and how many don't, and all of that. Okay. So if you're just putting in, oh, well, this shoe is ranked 20,000 right now, but tomorrow it's 27,000, and the next day it's 15,000. Well, you're not going to get the average of that. You're going to get just the number that you put in. Okay. So my opinion is that for arbitragers, it doesn't really matter how many sell. You're going to figure that out. That's why we do test buys. And then we say, okay, well, if we bought 10 and those sold in a week, well, next time maybe I should buy 40, and that should give me 30 days worth of coverage. And then things are going to happen. Maybe more sellers come on the listing. Maybe a seller doesn't replenish, and you actually could have used more. That's why we're always adding to our book of business, if you will.
Yep. Somebody else had a specific ASIN question, so I'll probably start this one. If you want to add anything, great, but I'm trying to quickly go through some of these. I'm going to share my screen real fast. If I can share too. Yep. Okay. So someone shared this ASIN, and they said, hey, this has no sales rank drops in the past 30, 60, 90 plus days, whatever. There was a sales rank back then, but then it disappeared. This is sort of what me and Chris were just talking about like 5 minutes ago, how sometimes we will specifically look for things that have no sales rank at all. So this green bar doesn't exist. Well, it popped up there for like a split second, then went away. This can happen for a number of reasons. If Chris wants to go into that, great. I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is selling. I know that this is selling a lot. How do I know that? Because a couple things. The review count and the rating count, let me get rid of rating because it's just that, is consistently going up. Now, when we see a jump like this, this pretty much, I can't think of any other situation that this would happen with. This is when items get merged or unmerged. So let's say there's like a chocolate meltable bar and a vanilla meltable bar, and we're looking at the vanilla one. This gets merged with the chocolate, and boom, all of a sudden it has the same reviews because they share their review count under the parent listing, and it gets unmerged there for like 2 or 3 days, and then it gets remerged back up. So that's what's happening there. But even regardless of if it's merged or unmerged, we see the review count almost every day. This is going up by 1 review. So if we go by Chris's math, that means this is selling roughly 100 times per day, roughly. So yeah, is it selling? Yes. Is it selling a lot? Absolutely. Would I personally buy this? Now there's another thing to look at here and to keep in mind. So where did it go? There we go. So this, and I'm going to I'm going to turn this stuff off so you can kind of see that a little easier. The price here has jumped up quite a bit. If you get on this listing and you get in expecting to make $44, I would say plan on shipping that FBM and selling out of that within the next week. Because personally, I would say there is not a chance that this remains at $44 when historically, I pulled this out to the past 900 days. Historically, we see that this has always been $25, maybe $29 or less. And it just happens, maybe someone went out of stock or something, that it's up
Amazon
to
did
44. Amazon went out of stock. That's what happened. So yeah, Amazon went out of stock. Chances are they're probably going to be coming back into stock. But if you want to get in on this, this is a perfect FBM opportunity where you flip it fast, you FBM it so that you can ship it out today, get the sale right now, instead of waiting for it to get to the warehouse and get checked in and all that stuff. So,
and those are going to be heavy. That's not something I'd want to FBM personally.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look at the weight.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Good to know. I've been relying on it a lot. Yeah, stop looking at that number of sales ranks button section. I don't know why it exists. I say it all the time, but yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to skip a couple of these. Skip ahead. Find ghosted listings with Keepa. That's and ghosted is sort of like a colloquial term. Some people would just consider what we found to be like ghosted, like it has no sales rank. Some people it's like it's completely unlisted, like you can't find it in anything. You can. It's just all in the filters. If you get creative, if you think about like what kind of filter you need to look, like maybe this had sellers a year ago and a good rank a year ago, and now there's no sales ranks and no sellers. So like that could be sort of a creative. You think outside the box, and you can pretty much find whatever it is you're trying to look for. Just think about how would those items be identified. So yeah. Will this be reposted? Yeah, it's all recorded. It's all on both our Facebook and our YouTube channel. How do you know if it's a good product? I mean, we just kind of showed you. We showed you. Is it selling? Yes, it's selling a heck of a lot, like probably 100 plus per day. Is it profitable? Well, I don't know that, but if you can figure out if it's profitable, then great. Let's see, awesome gems selling quickly with FBN. Never thought about that. Yeah, for those like spikes, especially here during Q4, you don't want to send that kind of thing in FBA. That 100% is going to tank, and then you're going to come back and complain, be like, Nate told me to buy this, and then it tanked. This is ridiculous. Every time I use Keepa, it tanks. No. You got the right product. You got the right instruction. You just sold it the wrong way for that specific thing. So awesome.
There's going to be a lot of these kind of opportunities come like a week and a half before Christmas when like I don't know. I have this sneaking suspicion that Amazon is going to have a lot more stockouts than maybe we're used to seeing.
I agree.
And you're going to be able to take advantage of those because there are going to be local opportunities. You go pick those items up, merchant fulfill them for some quick cash. And yeah, there's going to be, if you want to hustle, there's going to be some opportunity.
For sure. All right. So, Chris, anything you want to share about your upcoming academy?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, honestly, what we did tonight, there's about 6 hours of that inside of Keepa Academy. The way that we did it is we try to take you down a rabbit hole, and so we start off with the basics and help you understand sales rank, because a lot of folks say, oh yeah, I understand sales rank, but based on thinking Keepa drops equals sales, a lot of folks don't actually understand sales rank. And listen, it took me years. Okay. I don't know whether that's just because it's a difficult thing to understand or because I'm dense. I'll let you make the call. But we talk about that, and then we go down everything else. We talk about how to use the product finder. We talk about how to use all of the features inside of the actual Keepa graph, because there's a lot of data there that you can pull out to help you, A, make better decisions, and B, allow you to storefront stock on steroids. Okay. There's also some things there where you can figure out maybe bundles you want to make or rabbit trails you want to go down for other products. And we cover all of that, how to be really good at variations. We talk a little bit about Amazon to Amazon flips and using the deals section. I will be forthright. Amazon to Amazon flips is probably my weakest area when it comes to Amazon. It's not a difficult thing to understand. It's just something I have not practiced a ton. But we talk about how to use that section as well, how to track products. And then we dive really, really deep into how to use the product finder and every feature there. We stop short of using the Amazon API, although I'm probably going to add in some videos for those who might actually be interested in using that maybe in a week or two.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be something I'd like to take a look at. Awesome. And then I believe for now, because this is sort of like your launch week for your Keepa Academy, I believe it's $50 off right now, correct?
There is a $50 off coupon
today. What is that $50 coupon? Can I share that into chat?
That's a great question. I don't know that coupon code. If you, I'll tell you what. If you take the quiz that is on the front page of Keepa Academy, if you just take that really, really quickly, everybody gets the $50 discount code just for taking the quiz. And something that I think is going to be kind of cool based on the quiz results is we're going to kind of get an understanding of where the community is as a whole of their understanding with Keepa. We've had one person get 100%. We've had a number of people get 27 out of 30 questions right, and those are people who I know personally, and I know that they know everything about Keepa. But the average score is like 12 out of 30.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So, and even if you've taken other classes, I mean, if you took like the online arbitrage challenge, even if you took like the replan workshop, there is a lot of stuff in here just specific to Keepa that is super useful. There's nuggets everywhere, guys. So yeah, check it out. Take the quiz. You'll get your $50 coupon. Make sure to do that. Save a little bit. But that ends tonight. So if you want that $50 off for it, you got to sign up and do everything tonight. That's sort of the kicker. So awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. We've been here like, wow, almost 80 minutes now. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I appreciate it. We'll let you get back to your family. Thanks for coming out, everyone here.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Sounds good. We will see you guys later. I'll probably be doing some more YouTube videos like this later on, but in the meantime,